Monday, all you beautiful radio listeners. Thanks for dropping in on our little happy hour. If you're watching us on the YouTubes, here's a hand gesture just for you. I think I got that right. If you're on the YouTubes, use the chat feature to communicate with us. We'd appreciate that. If you're listening on the radio through 105.1 FM, 1080 AM, you're on your computer at 1051thefan.com, Odyssey.com, the Odyssey app, or if you ask your smart speaker to play that annoying guy that talks after the Ducks and before Isaac and Suk, use the text line, 503-2GO-FAN. That's 503-864-6326. You can ask questions, you can share your thoughts, you can solicit advice, or answer me this, dear listeners. Have you figured out any strategies to just let it go when watching kids' sports and referees? I'm trying very hard. I went to the early meeting for lacrosse coaching. So we started lacrosse coaching last week. This weekend we got a jamboree, and I got a basketball game. So we're coaching Tuesdays is lacrosse, Wednesdays is basketball, Thursdays lacrosse. Went to the preliminary meeting, Casey, for the lacrosse organization. They bring out the local Oregon's Girls Lacrosse Association. They bring out USA Lacrosse, but they bring out the woman that runs the officials for all of the games. And she had some very good advice. And it's in my head rattling around, which is, if you're not happy with a call, do not, under any circumstance, make the call for the official. Most of these are junior officials. I'm coaching I guess it's 9 and 10-year-olds lacrosse, 8 and 9-year-old basketball. But if I sit there from the bench and I yell, hey, call, let's use the basketball game from this weekend as an example. You need to call an illegal screen, or you need to call traveling, or that's a foul. If this 14, 15-year-old official then calls the foul, it feels like I'm influencing the call. And if they don't call the foul, then it feels like they're against me. So you're putting them in an awkward situation. So I don't want to do that. But here's something that I noticed, and this is no fault of the official. We were playing against a team that feels very organized. They look like an organized basketball team. They're doing an inbound play. They're running stack. They're trying to set screens at a point of attack. They got plays. Listen, stack is not a complicated play. It's a simple organizational strategy. Our girls have actually asked if they can run, and I go, let's focus on some other things. The things we've chosen to focus on is being aggressive. A lot of times when you're, new to basketball, a lot of these girls have never played.
Fundamentals and passing.
No, the fundamentals, I'm out the window on the fundamentals. The fundamentals are a very good idea in theory, but if you just stick with the fundamentals, what happens is you have somebody there just staring at the ball, making sure they dribble and doing all of that.
Get to watch some boring basketball.
Here's the other thing. The officials do a very good job of not blowing the whistle on every single infraction. They gave us probably 17 tries on a double dribble before they actually call. We got this one girl. She likes to dribble once, catch it with both hands, dribble it a second time, catch it with both hands. She did that like 3 times in a row, then picked up the ball and proceeded to run 5 steps and then try to shoot it. That was the only traveling
They're giving a lot of leeway.
The only traveling call we got the whole game. So I'm pretty okay with that. The frustrating part is I realized about midway through the game on Saturday for the Gummy Bears that we play like savages. We don't play like gummy bears. We play like grizzly bears. They go out there, and our girls, well, they bend the rules a little bit. Because all I wanted, after the first game, they were very timid.
A lot of hustle points?
A lot of hustle points. Which, hey, has served us, I'll say, somewhat well. When you play a team that is organized, even just feigning organization, because one of the things I want to yell is there's not an 8 or 9-year-old girl that has ever been able to set a solid stationary screen. They're all moving screens. I don't fault the coach for trying to implement it. It's a good strategy. I can't keep yelling, hey, that's an illegal screen. We can't do that. We played them another game, the same team, and I went up to and I go, hey, listen, I know what they're trying to do with the screen, but they're all illegal. But then I just invite them to call more calls. I don't know that I'm struggling with it. I don't think I got to the point where I was yelling anything at the official.
Sir!
I definitely had some it's like a 14-year-old girl that calls every single one of the games, and she does a fantastic job. So I'm not suggesting she doesn't. But what I've realized is you get one practice a week for an hour. Then you go and play a game, that's an hour. That's all you have. So what you do is you go out and you go, all right, well, We're not being aggressive. They're not calling any traveling, so we can go and spend a bunch of time on dribbling and technique and do all of that. But if they're not aggressive, it's not going to do us any good. So what in 1 hour this week is the thing that I can implement? So for the most part, it has been, hey, let's go in and don't be afraid to be physical, getting rebounds, getting loose balls.
Go get those boards.
Yeah, and then when you're on offense, listen, if you try to run around somebody the entire time, all you're going to do is dribble back and forth. You're going to have to run through somebody sometimes. We look a little bit like the Bad News Bears. We're just going out there and we're swinging bats at people. We're throwing elbows. We're doing the whole thing.
Looking like running backs in training camp.
We have definitely put together a motley crew reputation, which I don't think is unwarranted, and I would very much like to pretend that we're not that one. But if anybody has any advice on how I can, make my team more likable for the officials, we did not get an even amount of calls. Pretty sure I know why. We were the aggressor. I understand that. Probably not the way to go. I'd love to say that, it wasn't entirely my fault. It totally is. So not necessarily that I need advice on myself not getting frustrated with officials. I want to make it easier for them to call an even game, because that I have not done. So I will say that is my own fault.
Is it just turning into Fight Club over there?
It's not necessarily Fight Club. Last season, our team wasn't nearly as they didn't take the aggression nearly to the level that the Gummy Bears have. The aggressive Orange Otters, despite the name, not quite as aggressive as the Gummy Bears. They're more
Gummy Bears are getting after
The Gummy Bears are gremlins. They're just out there like we had, and this was at practice. Last week at practice, we literally had a girl jump on another girl's back. And this is I think we've gone too far. I'm looking to overcorrect. But it felt very much like the other team was playing into the favoritism of the referee. And they did a good job. If I was calling the game, I would have called more fouls on us. So now I need to get it to swing the other way. So I want to, there's got to be some techniques to be like, hey, we're the friendly team here. We're with you on that other team. But right now I'm on the wrong side of it. So I need to kind of figure something out.
Need another name change?
I don't know if we need a name change. We've dropped because we wear black jerseys. Originally we were black Gummy Bears. We've fallen back into just being the Gummy Bears. I'm okay with that.
That makes a lot more sense.
Need to come out with a technique then for how we get the team back into decent society. They turn into little monsters as soon as the whistle blows. So I just want to get that going. So if you have advice, let us know. Use the text line, use the chat. We'll get to it before the end of the show. Right now, I need to tell you, though, that Fan Madness is back. Join the Fan Thursday, March 19th and Friday, March 20th for two of the most exciting days of basketball in the history of mankind. This will all happen at Tom's Watch Bar in the A Casino Resort in Ridgefield, Dirt and Sprague, the firm of Harrison Meringue. This little happy hour show, Primetime with Isaac Azuka, all broadcasting live. Don't miss a minute of the action. Play hooky with the Fan for Fan Madness, brought to you by A and Window Nation, March 19th and 20th at A Casino Resort. Catch any of the Blazers basketball this weekend?
Oh, I caught a little bit.
Whew, man, I'd rather watch the Gummy Bears. I'll tell you what. If we can get a live feed into those games, I think it would have been a little more entertaining.
Got a texter that says the Bad News Gummy Bears.
They kind of are. That's kind of where I'm thinking with it. So, yeah, no. Blazers got absolutely embarrassed in two games this weekend. They didn't lose by that much when you look at the total score, but they score like 11 in the first quarter, 17 in the first quarter on Saturday. So 10 a.m. Tip, they go out and play against the Fighting Concanipples and lose in Charlotte. Then they go on to Atlanta. Boy, that game was ugly. They gave up 44 in the first quarter. Not great. You know what they shot against Charlotte from three? Do you know their percentage? They made 11 of 47. They shot 23% from three-point range against the Charlotte Hornets. It was a bad week.
Tough to win games that way.
You beat the Bulls. You're supposed to beat the Bulls. We discussed this on Thursday going into the game, Friday coming out of it. You're supposed to beat the Bulls. You got to win this road trip. If you want us to take you seriously this season, you got to do something. And I know you have injuries, and I know there's guys in and out of the lineup, and I know Denny's not available every day. He's got the lower back thing. We're going to try. We're going to pull the plug. What are we doing?
I'm really just expecting bigger games out of Donovan. I don't know if I know he was sick this weekend. I guess that's the news around, is that there's a bit of a bug that's going around the locker room, but
Right.
I'm just expecting bigger performances out of the biggest guy on your roster.
Well, I mean, down the stretch, it's just figuring out who's part of this roster moving forward and who's a trade piece going into the offseason. That's what it has to be, right?
It's gotta be.
At some point, we'll have the new ownership in there. We'll have a decision whether or not you're sticking with your interim coach and your what was an interim GM who ended up getting the full-time job. New owners, are they going to come in, blow everything up? Who are the guys? So just give everybody a chance to showcase the rest of the year. You're not a threat to win anything. Maybe you get into the play-in and can go and make some noise. I mean, the bottom of the West is bad enough that nobody's really going to probably take your spot. But this weekend was hard. I was excited. I was excited going into the weekend. We're post All-Star break. You get a nice win on Thursday. Let's go out and get some momentum going into the weekend. And those are not great teams.
You had them winning all three, didn't you?
Yeah, I think you know that I did. We'll play that game a little bit later in the day, and I'll have to apologize to everybody that listened last week. But right now, we need to do some in case you missed it. In case you missed it, billionaire owner Steve Cohen publicly admitted his frustration that the Mets still haven't won a World Series during his tenure. He's entering his 6th year of ownership. Buddy, I'm with you. How can using the exact same strategy as a dozen other teams but executing it much, much worse not win you a championship? It's so annoying. I mean, let's just go out and spend and spend and spend. Nobody else thought of that. Yeah, okay, Dodgers, Phillies, come on.
As long as Steve Cohen's unhappy, I will remain happy.
As you should. In case you missed it, the Browns traded for Texans O-lineman Titus Howard and immediately gave him a $63 million extension. Probably a good move considering the Browns allowed 51 sacks last year. That's like 6 sacks per starting quarterback. I was going to say starting caliber quarterback, but they didn't roll any of those out there last year, so I don't think I have to worry about that. In case you missed it, Spurs center Luke Cornett is demanding the Hawks cancel their Magic City night because it objectifies women. And I'm with him. The NBA owes it to their fans, their dancers, and their official betting partners to stay focused on the ideals the league stands for, objecting the 20 to 40-year-old men that they own for 82 games a year. We can't. No? Is that not? Sorry, have under contract. That'd be a better way to say it. No? In case you missed it, Lakers forward Jared Vanderbilt had to physically step in between star player Luka Doncic and JJ Redick to stop them from escalating the argument further. It could have been really ugly, but luckily Vanderbilt gave Luka a little nudge. Luka, of course, then flew back like he was hit by a semi-truck and immediately called for the refs to give Vanderbilt a double tech despite them being teammates and neither of them in the game. Just like you would expect. In case you missed it, a power surge in Detroit caused an arena horn to blast uncontrollably for 13 minutes during the Pistons-Cavs game. Now, a 13-minute siren sounds like a war cry, but honestly, I take it over the 13 minutes I spent trying to watch the Blazers play defense and make threes over the weekend.
13? That sounds like the percentage that they shot from 3.
I think that might be a little bit higher, yeah. And finally, in case you missed it, the USGA announced the 2045 U.S. Open venue will be Inverness Club. AI has already picked the favorites to win. I'm sorry, I misread that. It says AI has already been picked as the favorite to win. Honestly, by 2045, the only thing open about the tournament will be the source code. Am I right? No. It'll be a combination of a Roomba and my Wi-Fi adapted crockpot out there just hitting stripes down the center of the fairway. It's going to be awesome. All right, big thanks to our studio audience. 2:30. We will play the fun game where what we call Tape Don't Lie, where we listen back to the dumbest things that I said last week, and I will try to justify, deny, or blame somebody else for the outcome of those comments. But right now, we need to get into the Daily Buzz update from your Seattle Mariners camp, some free agent moves and trades coming through in the NFL. We do that all next in the Daily Buzz. You're listening to Happy Hour on 105.1 The Fan.
It's time.
Well, exciting times in the Cactus League. You've got some big prospects on the pitching mound for the Seattle Mariners over the weekend. You got to see the 21-year-old Ryan Sloan go out there and chuck the ball 99 miles an hour. He was also moving the ball with 15 inches of vertical break. He faced 3 batters. You got 3 whiffs. He's out there looking sharp. Lefty Cade Anderson, who was the number 3 overall pick last year, should have been the number 1 overall pick based on his projections, but the Nationals and I want to say the Diamondbacks maybe had the opportunity. No, I think it was the Rangers. Doesn't matter. They both had an opportunity to pick him, but because of the way that their picks and their pay structure was set up, they couldn't actually go after him. So Cade Anderson ends up being the number 3 overall pick. He goes out. What does he do to start off his left-handed pitching career for the Mariners? Oh, just just goes and strikes out the side, including Xander Bogaerts, who is a 5-time Silver Slugger. Not a bad way to start things off. Not a ton of innings for either of these guys. And Cade Anderson went out for the second. Didn't look nearly as good as he did in the first, but a very promising start for a couple guys not old enough or just old enough to go and have a drink are out there just whipping the ball around is always good to see.
The Buzz.
We'll move over to the hardwood. The Timberwolves got a nice win over the Nuggets, and it actually propels them now into the 3 seed ahead of the Nuggets, so jumped over it. Jokic had a pretty nice weekend, 35 points, 13 boards, 9 assists, but Edwards and company went out and got the win. This is an interesting race to me. I'm starting to think that over the weekend, Phil Jackson, I think we had this pinned to talk about on Friday, but we didn't. But Phil Jackson has this theory that he subscribes to, that if you can win 40 games before you lose 20 games, then you're going to win the championship, or you're one of the teams that has a chance to do it. Now, 90% of the championships over however many years have hit that mark. There are only 3 teams that are at that mark: the Detroit Pistons, the San Antonio Spurs, and last year's defending champ, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, the Celtics sit at 20 losses. They have 38 wins. So they didn't make it because they didn't win the 40 games before the 20, but they're right there.
But they're also without their star, Jason Tatum.
But Tatum could come back, and things can get shaken up. I honestly do not care about any of that. I am going into this looking at the star power that you've got on some of these teams. Anthony Edwards is fantastic. He is a guy that has been there knocking on the door. I'm pretty excited to see that. Jokic, to me, is still the best player in the world. His passing ability, just watching him play in a game, is one of those things that I think gets overlooked because he's such a good scorer. He's such a good rebounder. He plays good enough defense.
Again, vision for a 7-footer.
But the way he just moves with the ball and the playmaking, everything that he does. So that matchup got a little bit of my attention over the weekend, and now you have a little switcheroo in it. And the other team that got a win,
The Buzz.
2 wins over the weekend for the Los Angeles Lakers. I know that they have not been great. Yeah, Luka and JJ Redick are fighting. Listen, it wasn't that big of a deal. The whole, look, Vanderbilt had to step inside. Otherwise, they would have continued a conversation about how they felt about a basketball. Let's calm down. Is LeBron what he once was? Absolutely not. Luka is outstanding. LeBron is still LeBron. And if you get into playoff mode, remember, this guy has played more playoff games than a lot of these guys have played seasons in the NBA that he's going to be competing against. So I will wait to reserve judgment on if the Lakers are completely done until you get into the postseason, where Luka is second only to Michael Jordan in his postseason numbers, and LeBron once went to 9 straight finals. I will reserve a little bit of judgment on that.
The Buzz.
Elsewhere in the association, Giannis should be back, expected to return versus the Celtics. That's exciting for a team that won 8 of 15, went 8-7 while Giannis was out. They kind of held serve, so getting an MVP candidate back always makes things more interesting. And have you placed all your tickets at the sportsbook, young man? I know we're talking about putting your MVP ticket out there for our friend Cade Cunningham in Detroit.
That's locked in.
Did you get your ticket in for the long con? Con Knipple has passed Cooper Flagg and now has the best odds to win Rookie of the Year. Are you going on right now?
I'm going to place it right this second.
As,
it's time for the long.
As you should. Let's move over to the NFL and take a look
The Buzz.
at a couple of headlines. The Chiefs have released Jawan Taylor in a cap-cutting move. They're going to save $20 million against the salary cap by getting rid of their right tackle. Yes, he helped them win a Super Bowl just a couple years ago, but 49 penalties in 45 games as a Chief was a little bit too much, especially when they're paying them what he is. So Taylor now a free agent and going to be available to sign and get penalties with just about anybody. That one should be a fun one. Commanders have released cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. They're going to save $18.5 million by making that move. Of course, he was signed or traded for, and then they signed him to an extension, and then has only played 10 games per season since 2021. So not a cornerback that you need to stick with when he's not available. What is it? Availability is one of the best abilities.
The best ability is always availability.
And if you were excited about getting David Montgomery on your team, you're out of luck unless your team is the Houston Texans. So the Lions expect to be figuring things out to make a big extension offer to Jahmyr Gibbs, who has been outstanding. But Sonic and Knuckles are no more in Detroit. Montgomery goes for, I don't know who this guy is, but offensive lineman Juice Scruggs. Oh, I know the name is. Is he any good? I don't know. His name is Juice Scruggs, though. I'm very excited about that for Detroit. So, listen, I know that Jahmyr Gibbs put out a very nice, hey, I'm going to miss my guy, and without Knuckles, and blah, 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 blah. Would you trade a backfield mate for an all-pro offensive lineman?
To go alongside with...
Well, if you're the running back, if it's just you, if you're Jahmyr Gibbs.
Well, yeah, now I'm running behind him and Penei Sewell, and Penei Sewell is debatably the best right tackle in football right now.
Seems like a pretty good move.
I'm going to hit the hole.
So, yeah, the heartfelt, I'll miss you, and the amount of money that I'm going to make as fast as I am if I've got better blocking ahead of me seems like a pretty advantageous move for that young man. All right, with that, let's walk over. I'm actually very excited about this. Casey has given me a little preview on what we've missed. Next, we're going to do our fun little game of Tape Don't Lie, where we have to listen to the dumbest things that we say. But before we do that, let's walk over to the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk and discuss what we missed.
First on the fan, during the Celtics-Sixers game last night, VJ Edgecombe dove into the stands, chasing after a loose ball. Unfortunately, Edgecombe accidentally kicked a woman in the face, leaving a decent-sized shiner next to her right eye. I showed you a video during the break. I just want your opinion. What's worse, having a player jump into the stands and kick you in the face, or throw back to Gerald Henderson, who threw a ball into the stands and knocked an old lady nearly unconscious?
Well, the thing is, getting kicked in the face, obviously not a great time. The older I get, and I'm nowhere near elderly, I realize, but the older I get, the less I feel like falling down is something that I will survive. Like, I look at any opportunity. I mean, it's been a handful of years ago, but I remember the last time I got on a skateboard will be the last time I got on a skateboard. It was not a great experience. Took the board into my side. It took me about 3 weeks to recover from that. But now I watch football. It used to be like you'd see a big hit, and I'm like, oh man, that hit probably hurt. Now I see a guy just like fall down with nobody around him, like a quarterback gets his foot stepped on and falls down, hits a turf after the thing. I'm like, oh. I don't know if I can get up from that one. So, yeah, the older I get, the less I want to be knocked out. But being blindsided by a ball and dropped to the turf, at least the lady was braced for impact when she got a size 17 shoe to the side of her head. I'm sure neither felt good. But, hey, either preferable to the malice at the palace. That's what I will say.
For more sports scores and stories in 30 minutes, I'm Casey Smith from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Your home for the Oregon Ducks, the Fan Sports
So I pulled up the matchup between the Blazers and the Hornets. They have the exact same record as of today. The Blazers play tonight. Hornets and Blazers won't play until Saturday. But right now, they have the exact same record. The Blazers' road record matches exactly to the Hornets' home record. So they are exactly dead even. So if you just look at records, this is an absolute take your pick, hence putting it in here. I'm going to take the Blazers because
You picked the Blazers
Wow.
to
Yeah.
beat the Hornets in a battle between former top 3 picks in Brandon Miller and Scoot Henderson. Miller outplayed Scoot. He ended up posting 26 points on 50% shooting from the 3. The real question, who do you think is going to have the better career going forward?
Well, I think size is just such a factor if you're not healthy and you're undersized and you don't seem to be developing at it. I mean, Scoot Henderson missing all this time makes it really difficult to establish yourself, but he's still really, really young. If you've got the size and you have the ability to develop, and looking at what Miller's been able to do in Charlotte, a young team around him, it feels like he's off to the way better start. The question that you'll always have is, all right, how much do these guys want it? It only matters if you can be out there. And how many games has Scoot played? I know this year he's been out most of the year, but he was injured as a rookie. He was injured last year. So right now you just have to kind of go with the trends that you see. And I don't think Scoot is going to.
He's played 10 games this year.
Well, this year, but I'm saying like
148 total.
Out of how many available? So 148, so you'd be looking at, 200 and some games that he should have played? Yeah, that's not a good way to start your career. It's not a good way to get extended with the team you're on. You start bouncing around, you move on. Miller looks like he could be a centerpiece in Charlotte, so unfortunately, Scoot, I apologize, but I'm going to have to go with the Charlotte team looking like a little bit brighter future based on, all of the Hornets basketball that I watched early Saturday morning. To the Blazers at Hawks. Jonathan Kuminga is the most unstoppable force in the history of basketball. Immediately after playing a single game for the Hawks and scoring 27 points, they immediately called for the firing of Steve Kerr in Golden State. It was an awful move. How on earth could they do something so stupid? Now the Blazers got to go to the Hawks. You already took the Hornets in this road trip. So do you have the Blazers winning 2 of 3 this weekend, or do you have them losing to the Hawks and losing 2 of 3?
I'm winning 2 of 3.
All right, so you got them beating the Bulls, and you got
Beating
them
the
beating
Bulls,
the Hawks.
losing the Hornets, beating the Hawks.
I feel dumb because I have them winning 3 games, and I don't think that's the smart way to play things. But hey, it's what I've done.
Well, it was the dumb choice,
At least I knew it was dumb.
and you knew it.
Yeah, well, you look at records, you look at what they've got, all that hype around Kuminga. This is a true story. I've mentioned that I'm on this Blazers text group. Somebody said that the Blazers should have traded for Kuminga. Really? The Atlanta Hawks do not inspire me at all with what they've done. I mean, they have the Trae Young experiment that they had a little playoff run where there was so much excitement. Then they didn't know what to do with him. They end up, shipping him off to Washington. I don't have any faith in Atlanta based on a lifetime of being aware of the Atlanta Hawks. So I'm not worried about them going out and doing anything. I don't think Kuminga is going to be your centerpiece in any realistic way. Like, if you can't get on with the Warriors, like you get drafted by the perfect team and you have an opportunity to go out and play with Steph Curry and say what you will about Draymond Green. He's won a lot of basketball games, and you can't figure out how to get along with Steve Kerr, who has coached for 4 championships. And how many do you have? 6 as a player? 3 with San Antonio, 3 with the Bulls, something like that. So the guy knows how to win championships. If you can't figure out how to make it work there, I doubt you're going to take your bad behavior to Atlanta and make it work there. So I don't have a whole lot more faith in the Hawks for beating the Blazers. Who
That poster on Young Hansen was tough. That was a tough watch, though.
I'm sorry, a 20-year-old guy that is learning how to play basketball, I'm okay with that. Your quarterback of the future, I'm not 100% sure that drafting somebody entirely on athleticism and upside based on what they do at the combine is the best strategy for a football team.
All right. Here's a
Okay.
list of players who were drafted, good or bad, because of their combine results.
Yes, please.
Anthony Richardson went in the first round.
Yeah, he
John
did.
Ross went in the first round.
Okay, so real quick, Anthony Richardson is lame dunk. He's been giving permission to request a trade from his team after opting out of a game because he was tired. John Ross, is he still on a roster?
I don't believe
Yeah,
so.
I don't think so. Okay, next.
Vernon Davis.
Vernon Davis had a good career, but there is one image that I cannot escape, him being tackled once
Cam
upon
Chancellor?
a time by his,
Byron Jones, who set the broad jump record and then ended up being drafted by the Dallas Cowboys. He ended up making a Pro Bowl.
Okay, a Pro Bowl. Okay, well, I'll remind you that Shedeur Sanders was a Pro Bowler this season, so cool.
And Chris Johnson.
Chris Johnson was an absolute freak, and when he was in Tennessee, he was an unstoppable force, and then went to Arizona and faded away like most players do. When they go
And
to Arizona.
scouts said that these players had bad combine performances, which hurt their draft stock.
Yes, please.
Cooper Kupp.
Yep.
And Quan Bolden.
Yep.
And Jarvis Landry.
Yeah, this is a lot of cherry picking that you're doing. It's fine. I don't mind that you're doing it, but this is what we do. We look at these results and then we go back and go, what's the correlation between these things? You know who didn't run a good 40 time in the combine? Jason.
There you go.
Yeah. So Puka Nacua did not run a good.
I say this
have
because
a good 40 time coming out. I don't think he was at the combine. Maybe he
big
was.
sweeping declarations about the combine never seem to age well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But drafting based off of athleticism can get you a few pieces.
Well, yes, but going out and doing that, I mean, I'll remind you that, two of the freakiest combine performances of all time were essentially traded for one another. DK Metcalf, he was traded away to Pittsburgh, and that turned into the Nick Emanwari pick, and that seemed like the right move. But those guys were comped to each other from their combine performances. So you can go out and it can make it work, but who knows what Emanwari's career is going to be? You go out and win a Super Bowl in your first year. Do you think that makes you super humble? I don't know that it does. I don't know that it doesn't. But we try to go back and make all these inferences from the information that we had when we had it, what we knew. Listen, we're just watching a weird ritual that has turned into a weirder TV show, and sitting there and thinking that us as spectators have any idea when the experts don't know what to make of all this information. That's where it gets silly. I'm not saying there's no value in the combine and there's no value knowing a guy's top end speed or whatever it is. Absolutely, if your arms are too short, you should never play football. You should just be sent home and sent packing. There's no way that you'll... It's funny how we as lay people go and we pick out, well, here's an example of something that happened the way that it happened, whatever. The other one that gets me, well, now we've got updated mock drafts because we saw the combine. Really, you're telling me that we've accurately decided who the Seahawks are going to take with the 32nd pick overall because we know exactly what will happen with the first 31. I'll believe it when I see it. I will judge the draft as you should after a year, after 2 years, after 3 years, and you can look back and go, man, that 2018 quarterback draft really was pretty spectacular. But at the time, you just have no idea. They could have all turned into Josh Rosen. Luckily, only one of them did. To be a backup quarterback looking for a new home after what Sam Darnold was able to do. A lot of reports that Mac Jones will be the next guy to break through with a team after making a couple stops. But, man, if Green Bay is training quarterbacks and you could go out and get them, feels like their regular backups have turned into pretty good starters in the NFL over the last
What was the number
few
again?
decades. $30 million.
$30 million. That would place him above Justin Fields, but just below Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold.
Yeah, see, that seems about right. He's been good when he's been out there, and he looks like one of those guys that has had NFL experience that you can go and get versus going to the ranch. I don't know, would you rather have Malik Willis or go after Fernando Mendoza?
Again, I pulled this one
Please?
because I know it wasn't necessarily a one-to-one comparison of Fernando Mendoza or Malik Willis, but I do have to ask now that I've listened to it over a few times. Are you saying that you would rather have Malik Willis versus the first pick in the draft, or are you saying that you would rather have a Brock Purdy situation and load up on talent around the quarterback versus going after a Mendoza?
It depends on where your team is at. The Raiders aren't expected to win anything this year, and having a rookie quarterback that you can build around, it gives you a 4-year, 5-year window where you're going to be paying at the rookie pay scale, and then you can go out and build a roster. So if you don't have a roster, there's no sense in going out and getting a quarterback that is ready to win today and put him on a team that isn't. But if you're a team that's going out there and trying to figure out the pieces, the funniest thing is that, I mean, look back at how many times Minnesota has had a guy that has had the best year of his career. I mean, I don't even know how far we go back. Randall Cunningham, Dante Culpepper, Brett Favre came in and had a great year. Case Keenum has a year. Kirk Cousins has some great years.
I believe Tavares Jackson even had a year where he threw for.
So you can go out and pick that. The funny thing is, like, they're just a quarterback away. This is the first year that they've been bad. And how many wins did the Vikings have? But they're like the perennial team where if they just had a guy on their roster, they had Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold last year and still couldn't figure it out. So sometimes you're just doomed. But if you're going out and you're telling me that you're a quarterback away and drafting a rookie quarterback to fill in that gap is probably the wrong move. Going out and paying a guy half of what the highest paid, whoever it is, Dak Prescott or Trevor Lawrence or whatever it is, going out and paying a guy half that has looked good when he's had opportunities in the NFL to finish out a roster that is pretty good, I think that's a better way to go than going and finding somebody in the draft. And you can still find somebody in the draft. Everybody thinks that the Seahawks knew that Sam Darnold was going to be the guy. Remember, they went and brought Drew Lock back because they had some experience with him in the organization, and they drafted a quarterback last year, so they kept 3 quarterbacks on their roster because Sam Darnold wasn't a guarantee, and he looked terrible at the start of camp. People were like, "Oh boy, this is a big mistake," and they thought that Jalen Milroe was going to be as much a competitor for that starting job as anybody until the preseason actually happened. And he
who knew it was because your defense was just that fierce.
Well, that and nobody had JSN being that good, and then of course, you know, having K9 not only win an MVP but be healthy enough all year that he'd be in every game back and win a Super Bowl MVP. I mean, if we knew, we would do things differently. But yeah, it's a tough little combination. And sometimes you go out there and you can have the best team that you've had in a decade, and somebody else has a better team. This was a weird year in the NFL. And if everybody goes out and starts copying the Sam Darnold things, a lot of them are going to get it wrong, right? Like if you go out and let's say you have 6 teams that decide to go with somebody that needs another shot, all 6 aren't going to succeed. So then the numbers will increase. Well, it didn't work for these 5 teams because if it works for one, it doesn't work for the others, even if they get close. Let's go out and give this guy a shot and this guy a shot. So it's a copycat league. It's super funny. These Seahawks were very good this year, but nobody had them as a Super Bowl favorite until week 16 or 17.
Yeah, I think that's
when they got through it because there wasn't a great team this year. So this Seahawks team could have been, you know, as good however many number of the last few years, but they run into an Eagles team that was better, or they run into a Chiefs team in the Super Bowl, or pick your, you know, poison of who the greatest teams of the last decade have been. I wouldn't put the Seahawks there. Now they have a chance because they have the confidence and they have the know-how and they have all this whatever, but sometimes you just end up being the best team of a bunch of mediocre teams. Sometimes you end up being the Buffalo Bills of the 1990s and you're the second best team 4 straight years and by far the best AFC team, but then you run into a better team, or your kicker has a little
wide right,
little itch and a twitch and it goes wide right. Yeah, it's sometimes it's good luck and you end up looking like a champion. You get a hold of the Lombardi. Sometimes it's bad luck, and any other year you would have won it, and you never get a Lombardi. So
yeah, I think you said it pretty perfectly. You don't know you have it until you have it.
But, well, yeah, and the ball bounces weird ways sometimes, man. You know, you go out and you have a football game that feels like it's well within your grasp, and you're up 28-3, and all you have to do is just, you know, run out the clock. Tom Brady has other ideas, and you lose in overtime. So it's these minuscule things that we go back and we look at it, and one team is a loser, the other team is a winner, and for all time we sit back and look at the failure of the Falcons and the greatness of that. If they came back and failed to win in overtime, it would have been a great game, and the Falcons would be exalted, but they're not. Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow night at 6:30. Who do you like in that game?
I like Denver.
Yeah? They whooped up on the Blazers, but they lost their other 2 games this weekend.
OKC I think they're playing hurt right now.
Yeah.
the game against Detroit, Chet, Shea, Alex Caruso, and I think 3 other guys, Jay Will, all are out. So the fact that they're dealing with that many injuries, just pick Jokic.
All right. I'll go. You know what? I'll join you on that one. But I also want to see. I want to see another champion this year. We have not had a repeat champion in like 8 tries now. So let's keep mixing it up. I don't know if I'm ready for the Spurs to get back on if they're going to keep winning them, but I like the idea of it being somebody different every year for a while.
That was us both stupidly picking the Nuggets over over OKC.
Yep.
And not only did a few of the people that I said wouldn't play, but then Jay Will proceeded to hold back Jokic from hitting Lou Dort.
Well, the one that got me this weekend, listen, I cannot wait for baseball season to start so we can be wrong about baseball as bad as we are at picking the NBA. We'll maybe accidentally get some right. The game that I tuned into yesterday was the Spurs trying to make it 12 straight against the Knicks. The Knicks beat them up, not just like in the score, but like physically kind of manhandled them. Every time I looked up, Victor Wembanyama was somewhere in between guarding the post and guarding the 3-point line, and he looked lost out there on defense. And the team that I claimed last week, I'm a little surprised you didn't put this in there, was probably the favorite to win the whole thing, got absolutely manhandled on the stupid floor that they're rolling out in the Garden with all the patterns on it.
They did go a month without losing.
I understand that. They look good, but they got up against a veteran team, and we know in the NBA it takes a little bit to turn into a champion. Going and having 1 year as an offshoot and going, hey, we look really good this year, those teams don't win a whole lot. And I'm not saying the Knicks are going to win because of it, but I'm just saying that calling the Spurs infallible might have been a misspeak on my part. Hey, we need to get to one guy at the Combine that did catch my attention, not for necessarily what he did in his underwear, but what he said, how he said it, and why he said it, how he said it. So we'll talk about that when we do one more for the road. We'll do it next. You're listening to Happy Hour on 105.1 and the Fan Sports Network. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed anything from the show, please download the podcast. 1051thefan.com, Odyssey.com, the Odyssey app. We got to go quick here. Mr. Smith, what are people saying on the text line and the chats that we need to discuss?
That you have to start teaching the stack inbound.
Yeah, we can do the stack inbound. I'm trying to figure out if we can actually run any sort of offensive formation, because right now the pattern is everybody gather into a huddle and stand in the exact same spot until somebody steals the ball from us. So I'm a little more concerned about that than the stack inbound play. Probably a little bit more important.
And then someone else says, yeah, that's the reason why I sit in the 300 at Blazer games, so I don't get kicked by VJ Edgecombe.
Yeah, amen. Amen to that. Well, he's got long legs. I don't know if he'll get up to the 300 section. All right, let's do... I think I've made it abundantly clear that I do not care about the Underwear Olympics and what happens with guys running 40s and all of that, but there was something that caught my attention from this weekend. Casey Concepcion is a wide receiver out of Texas A&M. He was doing some interviews, talking with media, and man, the internet absolutely drug him through the mud for, how poorly he spoke and absolutely crushed the guy. Only to find out later that, the guy has a stutter and has as long as he can remember. He said, this weekend has taught me a lot about myself and people out here in the world. I appreciate everyone who supports me and has reached out after these interviews. Don't let the outside person's thoughts, opinions get in the way of you being great, of you achieving something in life. So listen, you can go out there, you put yourself to criticism, and he shot it down. I love it. Thanks, Casey. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Isaac Ropp. We're all done for now. Bye-bye.